Yeah. So recently, I saw you, at the magistrate's court with some tape on your lips, and I saw quite a number of, comments coming through via social media, and I got to it got me to a realization that a lot of people don't really follow things and get to understand why certain things are being done. I understood it. I understood that. Obviously, it was in protest of something.
Yeah. We were protesting against the conviction of Honorable Maureen Mawonga. Yeah. These legislatures that our elected members of parliament, they go to represent the people. Yeah. They are the voice of the people. So when they voice out and they are convicted in such unfair circumstances, it sends shivers down our spines, especially that I'm a young person, I'm a young leader, aspiring for political office. I'll be scared to even speak, Nsoneka. I'll be scared. I'll be, what's the way forward for me? So even as a legal practitioner, I just have to keep my mouth shut. Yeah. And we are gagged. What do we say? We have no words to say. You say something, the next day the police call you. So, we've been taken back to colonial days where there's a lot of censorship. Our freedoms of expression and our ability to just speak our mind as Zambian citizens is now being gagged. So sometimes we protest silently the way we were protesting. And unfortunately on that day, I'm sure you saw what happened. The police came and brutalized us and got away the placards that we had, which were not even proposing any violence. Yeah, so there is more, actually. There is more. I think Zambians must start paying attention to what is going on. Yeah. They should start paying attention to these conversations. They shouldn't just leave these things to the politicians.
Exactly.
Yes, these seditious practices that has come, that UPND is now using to silence or oppress the dissenting voice, I think it's something that Zambians must take in interest and just appreciate. What are we doing as a country? Where are we going?
Yeah. I also think that especially for us young people, I think we need to come to a time where we all get involved in issues of national, concern, because it's very concerning if I don't think that we should be living in times where people can't express themselves. We're in a digital age, and anyone really just trying to police the usage of social media comes out as a dictator, you know what I mean? Those are the makings of a dictator, because in a country that's a democracy, people are allowed to express themselves. People are free to express themselves. So the moment you begin to silence people in such a manner that even elected members of parliament can be arrested, prosecuted and sent to jail for statements that they made, to make matters worse, on parliament grounds. That's parliament true. Grounds that is known to be sacred grounds.
Yes.
A place of immunity, against certain legal issues or arrests. You get members of parliament being arrested and sent to jail, their constituencies taken from them, young people for that matter, you know what I mean? And this is all in the space where we have a president who wants to amend the constitution on the sole basis, other reasons, but I think that the most prominent reasons that he has advanced for his desire, to support his desire to amend the constitution, is that he wants to include young people in positions of leadership. He wants to send young people to parliament. You have people who are relatively young.
But Isaac, these are all lies, and President Hichilema says one thing and does the other thing. He has an opportunity to appoint members of parliament, 5. When you look at the people that he has appointed to parliament as president using his discretion, he's chosen old people. If truly he believes in young talent, he believes in young people, he believes in making sure that the disabled or the different abled people of our society need fair and equal representation in parliament, I think the president should have gone round and combed through the nation and see who's the voice for the voiceless, who would be taken over. It's not about appeasing your colleagues or friends that have supported you.
Yeah.
So I really feel this whole thing of arresting people for speaking. And you know what really surprises me is that UPND cadres will go out there, issue whatever they want against the opposition. When the opposition respond, it's seditious because we're touching on the government or wanting to overthrow a government.
Yeah.
I really feel this animal farm kind of arrangement or kind of leadership will one day bite Mr. Hichilema and his government.
Yeah.
You know, 2026 is fast approaching.
Definitely.
Zambians are watching. Zambians are very good people. And such injustices, they're paying attention to them. You nullify seats of people who before the whole process is done, someone wants to appeal against their conviction, bail pending appeal. It is denied.
Exactly.
If I were to ask you today, how many politicians have been convicted today and been granted bail pending appeal?
It's almost none.
It's almost none.
Yeah.
Even if they advance whatever reasons they are saying, there's no prospect of success. How? Are you telling me these are things that Zambians used to access,
Exactly.
Isaac?
Yeah.
I've worked in the judiciary for 10 years. I started work in 2010 thereabout. I worked for 10 years before I resigned and went into private practice.
Yeah.
I saw people being granted bail pending appeal. But we've not witnessed a situation where the state opposes that one should be granted bail pending appeal.
Yeah.
It's a very sad story. And this precedent that they are setting, it will work against them. It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
Political power is temporal.
Yeah.
And if you use it to satisfy your ego or bruise your opponents, eventually time will catch up with you. It will bruise you as well.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for Mr. Hichilema. He'll be one of the most lonely presidents if he loses power in 2026.
Yeah.
He'll be lonely because he hasn't been fair to his fellow political players. I think the playing field hasn't been well leveled. It's been about him.
Yeah.
You know, the way he's appointing the judges, how many judges he's appointed within the shortest period of time, how many judges he suspended.
Exactly.
I think
you know, we're living in times where
judges live in fear now.
They're living in fear. Judges
Excuse
can
me.
be suspended.
Yeah.
You know, even the process of replacing my maid at home is a bit more tedious
that's true.
than the process Mr. Akainde is using to replace judges.
These are
or remove
constitutional
judges from office.
that's true, my
Constitutional office orders. One man just decides to wake up and tell his friends that he has put at the Judicial Complaints Commission.
Yeah.
Can you recommend? It's like
This person.
he tells them what to do.
Yes.
Clearly, even
Yeah.
those at the Judicial Complaints Commission.
Because Isaac, if you
Yeah.
pay attention even to the people that have been hounded out,
Yeah.
they have been hounded out on frivolous
Yeah.
claims. Huh?
Exactly.
That cannot even be substantiated properly.
Exactly.
Judge Katenekwa, the way it was removed. It's very sad.
Very sad.
I'm sure after there was some, of course, they said emanates from not delivering judgments and whatnot.
Yeah.
But if you pay attention, it leads to the issues of the subpoenaing the registrar of societies and all those things. So it goes back to that. I think there's more that the president needs to do. This country, he's been entrusted with 21 million Zambians. And 21 million Zambians look up to him as our father, regardless of their political aspirations. They may not be, even children in homes, Isaac, there are children who are rebellious.
Rebellious. They don't agree with the father.
They can whip you, you don't change.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he should embrace every Zambian.
Yeah.
He should embrace every Zambian. And the manner in which he just conducts a number of things in this country, you feel very sad and say, does he really have advisors? Or does he advise the advisors?
It appears he is the one who advises his advisors. And you see, that's also the danger in appointing people to advise you who are way below you in terms of character and just courage and the manner of approaching things. You know what I mean? I think that if you are going to appoint people who advise you, avoid looking at people who fear you, you know, people who worship you. The ones who will advise you in any given circumstance is not the people who worship you. Because those who worship you have a basis upon which to continue getting whatever it is they get from you after they worship you. They know what you like to hear. So they are telling you what you want to hear. In most cases, they are just advising you through you.
That's true. That's true.
They are advising you through you. It's about what he wants to do that gets to make the end of the day. But at the end of the day, I think that we should come to a time where people should be held accountable. You know, this whole thing of trying to gag the social media space is fear of accountability, fear of being accountable.
And you see, trying to gag social media is actually one of the worst things that they want to embark on. You see, Zambians love to express themselves. Definitely. I think when they express themselves, they let it out.
Exactly.
Now, leading a country which is silent, where people are silent, Isaac, people are not talking, it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Definitely.
When you go to social media, people are now speaking in parables.
Exactly.
And proverbs. They don't want to go directly, and they can't address issues. But when that day comes, 2026 time to vote, Zambians will speak. Definitely, they speak of the social media radar because they're scared. People have no law. Nowadays, I think you've even noticed that there's this comment that's trending on social media where, do you have a lawyer? I don't have a lawyer. You know?
And it shouldn't be
like that in a country. This is a country that our forefathers fought for. We fought for independence, and our liberties and freedoms have to be respected.
Exactly.
Mr. Ichilema has been there preaching, when we take over, freedom of speech, there will be rule of law, there will be what? He promised so many things. Sometimes I even wonder, is this the same man that we had in opposition? Or really something has happened? Have they cloned him, or what has happened? You know, so you tend to wonder and say, why does this man? He sounded so intelligent and convincing. You know, where you have it's not easy. 2.8 million Zambians, you convince them to vote for you without even proper campaigns and just no clear message, and people have hope in you. I think our leaders should have been more honest and do what is right for the people of Zambia.
Exactly. No. He really needed to just, you see, like you said, 2.8 million Zambians. That's a huge number of people, you know, to convince that they should trust you and not the other guy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then you turn 360 degrees, you know, around and start to bite the same people. You know this whole gagging of social media, I simply describe it as, you know, biting the finger that fed you. Because this is a president who came into office solely ushered in through social media.
The millennials
he has
voted
no medium of communication other than social media, you know.
And actually people used to refer to him as a Facebook politician.
His largest constituency was known as
Facebook, yes.
But now he wants, because the same Facebook has decided to say, no, Bwana, you said you reduce minimum to 50 kwacha. Where is the 50 kwacha?
You end load shedding.
You end load shedding. Where is the no load shedding? You said you reduce fuel. Then he says, no, don't ask me such questions. If you ask me such questions, you'll go to jail.
That's a problem.
I mean, I think that it shouldn't be like that. There should be some level of sincerity. You know?
I know they're bragging about the free education. Yes, it's a good thing. It's progressive. But I think there is more that need to be done in terms of infrastructure and working hard. I know the CDF, where they're claiming they've increased CDF and
on paper.
But there's really nothing happening. You know, you find in these constituencies, you find there's like a grader passing, trying to clear the roads and everything. There hasn't been much that looks like 34 million. You know, I think what there's 34 million, Isaac. 34 million is a lot of money, huh?
Especially
it's a lot
in a
of
bad
money.
Economy like this
one, yes.
Where you inject 34 million in one constituency,
you can tell.
There will be changes. Signs will be there.
Markets will be painted. Markets will be rehabilitated, will be refurbished and all that.
In the markets, you know, these roads these feeder roads and whatnot will be done.
Maybe the 10 million, you never know, it's going to these diesel gensets that they've placed in markets.
But
which actually run on very they consume a lot of fuel. The consumption is high. So if they say that's where the money is going to, otherwise in terms of development, even the feeder roads, just you pass one of these grader passes there, there's no proper, they can't even put anything, molasses or proper gravel that people
compacting.
There's nothing. There's really nothing there.
I live in Katua myself, where the roads are very bad.
Yes.
We have a member of parliament who's a UPND member of parliament.
Yes.
For that matter, as I don't know if it's misfortune or fortune would have it, he's also a provincial minister.
That's true.
You know, but the constituency is literally a bush. You know, it's literally a bush because the guy has decided he will not do anything. He will not patch up the roads. He will not grade the roads. He will not provide clean and safe water for our people to drink. He will not do this and that. You see, even the free education that people talk about.
And I'm glad you're talking about Katua because that's where my parents reside. They live in. So they go to that even Mwanjuni health post where most of the people go
You
to.
see?
I think
And
if
Mwanjuni-
CDF was working, that thing could
the
have been
signs
refurbished.
would
It's going to
have
be
been
nice.
there.
Signs
You know
would have
what
been
I
there. They
mean?
refurbished that.
Huh?
You
And
find the way.
Mwanjuni, you see, Mwanjuni is less than 500 meters from the Great North
That's
Road.
what I'm saying.
You
So
know?
it's
very close to the
yeah,
road. There's
but-
accessibility. There's ZNS camp right
Next
you
to
know,
it, yeah.
next to it. There's a police post right next to it. Just that car road to get to Mwanjuni itself, when it rains, it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. That's
It's a
true.
nightmare.
So where's the 30? Where's the 34, 35
so
million
where's
that
the
they're bragging
34 million
about to
going?
say?
The
Where
Mwanjuni Primary School itself, we still have kids in that school who sit on the floor. Okay, we still have kids in that school who sit on the floor. We still have issues of deficit of classroom blocks in those schools. Where there's 34 million kwacha going in through CDF. We still have those situations where one teacher is forced to teach 120 pupils in one class.
And how does a teacher now have that personal relationship with the child? Because, you know, these pupils don't have the same, in terms of capacity of comprehending information and just appreciating certain things. So it's a challenge. You really can, you know, there's no that one-on-one. Sometimes you find that the teacher just writes on the board, erases whatever they are writing before the child can even ask and understand.
Yes.
Oh, teacher, what happened here and
happened
there?
there?
So as a result, the same free education, it may be free as they are bragging, but I feel there's more that has, that it must do
it's
good.
It's turned out to be monstrous.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I think that the issue is not education being free. Okay, education can be free. Maybe you and me might be a bit younger, but our parents, our elder brothers and them, attended the same free education.
I attended. I was at Tualumba Basic School. I think we were paying almost 20 kwacha per year or 15 kwacha then.
Exactly.
Almost it was nothing to say the truth.
But the quality of education that you and me got was good
nice.
quality. That's why
we were here. 30, we were 40. No, it's
exactly.
true.
That's why we're here. We are 30, 40. The most, if your class is crowded, you would find maybe you are 42 pupils.
42 was the maximum. I remember those.
Yeah.
We never used to go above 50 in the classroom.
No. You would not find people standing at the back there just for them to be able to...
And then would sit properly on it. Then there's proper infrastructure, two of us, unless otherwise the other classroom needs to join you. Maybe that's when you sit 3-3.
You know
but usually we'd sit 2-2.
Exactly.
So,
but now we have all these things of free education. Well and good. The initiative is good. But I think that before even implementing this free education, you should have first of all looked at the quality of education you are going to provide. Because if there is overcrowding in these classes, the pupil-teacher ratio is, is clearly not something that is comprehensible. It becomes a problem. Address the issue of the quality, then you implement free education. Because then you know that when our kids go to school and they are not paying, they are getting quality education. Because one teacher cannot, in all honesty, teach even 60 pupils and get all of them to pass, or even get 80% of them to have good marks. It's not possible. You know?
So the Kwenu is not Kwenyu, as you call it. Kwenyu is missed, actually.
It's missed.
When the reality, you can't go and say Kwenyu, you've scored this, you've scored that, when there are a lot of, actually, the pros, the cons outweigh the pros of whatever you're bragging about. Then there's a problem.
Exactly.
So you find that right now, load shedding, they failed to find a solution to load shedding.
Totally.
The cost of living is still high. People are struggling in Zambia. There's no hope for a Zambian, for an average Zambian today. Zambians who are hardworking people have been reduced to beggars. And you find that every single day, Isaac, you receive a call. These are people we look up to. These are our colleagues we grew up with. They call you, Pempako 100 kwacha, Pempako 20 kwacha. Just small amounts, I want to buy some food at home. Those are indicators that there's nothing happening in the country. There's really nothing happening. And there's no hope, apart from the president just bragging that he's scored and he's already delivered 99%. I think Judicial should also be honest with what he's doing, apart from his drones and showing he should be a very serious person. And
also should decide what he wants to do. Okay? He should decide if he wants to be a content creator for State House and be creating content. Because we can't be paying him. He's paid out of our taxpayers'
it's our money,
money.
Taxpayer.
He's paid out of our taxpayers' money to advise the president. Is it on economics and finance or something? The guy is always moving around with a camera in shopping malls everywhere he goes.
Where there are cadres and all that. I think there's more. So This is an economic advisor. This is what I'm saying. The president needs to bring about
because the economic advisor is busy doing other things.
He's not giving him what's really on the ground. Exactly. So there's need for the president actually maybe to fire most of these people are not really helping him replace his team. I think Zambia or the University of Zambia, CBU, and all these other higher learning institutions, they have prominent people and more qualified people who can be economic advisors who can give sound advice to the president, and the president can deliver. So,
but you see, unfortunately, those people may not be his relatives, and he likes to trade on those grounds. But you see, the other issue, you get the president creating a scorecard for himself, and begin to give himself marks of how far he has done. Number one, he sends Jito, who is his advisor for finance and whatever, and that other gentleman who is also his advisor for policy implementation or something like that, the one that they call Dr. Lungu, is it Dr. Lungu or Dr. Zulu? They come up, they wear some suits, they go and take a video at State House with some cabrosua and say we have achieved 95% plus of what we promised to do. People say, 95% plus. Okay, show us what you have done, Show us, since we don't see it, and you believe you are the type of leaders that believe in having to explain what you have done. Because good leaders, by the way, they don't go around telling people, I have done this, I have done it, ABCD. The people themselves, they speak to you as a leader. They come to you in form of appreciation. Our leader, thank you, you said you give us water, you've given us water. Our leader, thank you, you said you give us cheap meal, you've given us cheap meal. You can't be the one saying that, no, thank me, because now farmers, there's going to be a bumper harvest this year, so you must kwenyona me and thank
you can't.
You can't mark you.
It's like giving yourself an exam and you mark it and you say I've passed.
You know what I mean?
So these are issues that we should be having around. Look, in terms of infrastructure, what have they scored? They scored nothing. The only thing they've done is the Ndola Dio carriage, which is also smelling of corruption.
And it's total.
People have started the top plazas have been taken. Yeah, the top plazas, you find that they're already collecting revenue and they haven't completed works.
Exactly.
We are still far away from being done.
Alone, my brother. I was passing the toll gate the other day. I went to Kabwe where Bowman Sambo was appearing in court.
Yes.
One of his multiple cases. Remember the time he stopped in Kabwe to buy a
Yes, I remember that. Unlawful assembly.
It ended into unlawful assembly. That matter, they are still pursuing it. They've placed him on his defense. You can imagine the level of dracony that we are living.
It's sad.
You know
it's
what
very
I mean?
sad.
So on my way there, it was quite early. Someone else was driving. On my way back, I was driving the vehicle myself. So at the toll gate, I'm passing the money to the cashier. There's 2 Chinese people standing right behind the cashier looking at what the cashier is doing. Okay?
How did we get
She's uncomfortable. You can tell that this young lady is uncomfortable. So I'm talking to her. I'm saying, my dear sister, is this how bad things have become? That they can't even trust you with this 20 kwacha I'm giving you, that you remit it as it should be. They have to sit and watch you as you are punching into the computer. Guys, it has changed. I get the receipt. It's bringing me some company, Monique,
whatever it's called.
It's no longer NRIFA. For the next 25 years, our money will be taken to China to develop China. It is not going to be.
And they would have left us this substandard road, and the road would have been damaged. And
the road between just that stretch between Lusaka and Katuba itself has taken maybe over 6 months.
That's true.
They are not done. They've not even done half of it. Even the quality of the road, I'm not an engineer myself, but we cannot tell. We use these roads.
Yes.
We cannot tell that this one that is African in the next 3 years.
But they would have gone, they would have signed all these things.
And they would have continued to collect their money because it's not their business, the quality of road, because your leaders who have entrusted them with this responsibility to do the roads have agreed to substandard things. You know what I mean? When you see how they are doing the road, I don't know what really is happening. You find the road is passing here, right next to it there's a war fence. You ask these people, the people who have properties right at the roadside, have you been compensated? Says, no, I'm not moving because no one is compensating me. There's no way I'm going to break down my property so they can build a road when I know that there's supposed to be compensation. No one is compensating anybody.
There's a problem. There's a problem. So we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We're in trouble, my brother. We're in big trouble. And I feel, I'm very happy that Laz now speaks. I'm very, very happy now that we have a very firm and strong team at Laz. Laz is able to speak for the masses, and I'm glad that its glory days are back. It guides and gives a proper opinion, or gives its statement that resonates with the masses with the majority of our people. It's good. So if more churches can actually come on board, civil society and traditional leaders, they come on board. I think the issues of governance and all these things that are happening to their children, by children I mean the members of parliament, these traditional leaders must speak.
Exactly.
They must stand for their people. I love the way Chief Mukuni was so much committed and dedicated when President Hichilema was in opposition. He showed his son the love. He stood for his son. I don't know if my leaders are cowards, or they are scared, or they see it normal. That what is happening is actually how things must be done, or they really can't see things the way we see it we're using our political lenses. I don't know, but I think even our traditional leaders have really let down the people. They've let down their children. They've let down their sons. They should stand up the way Chief Mukuni did. I would meet Chief Mukuni sometimes at Chimbokaila. There is Lion King, limousine is parked there. Just to show solidarity to the leaders. And you would go to Chimbokaila, you would run around. So you would see that he's there for his son.
And you see, that's as it should be. I see there's like a growing trend, especially on the part of the UPND. I don't know whether this is why some of our traditional leaders are cowering, from standing for us, their children. Because with this, and I'm saying us, because with this UPND, everybody is a potential criminal in their own mind. You know what I mean?
Even just you and I having this conversation, someone will come through and find where you and I will be charged for some seditious, So we need to be very careful. And as you are saying something, you need to make sure that your words are on point and firm, so that you're not found wanting.
You see, and you see, all of that is a misfortune that we're talking about, because in a country that's a democracy, we shouldn't have to be that careful. We should be allowed to free flow. You know what I mean? To speak our mind. You vent. We are going through so many things. I was reading the papers today where it says UTH records over, is it 211 or 210 mental patients, is it per week or per month or something like that?
Mental health is real. People are going
through
health
is real.
People are going through
because the economy is so bad.
You're moving, you're calculating,
Exactly.
You're sleeping, you're making calculations. How do I solve that one? How do I do? So it's
Endam road, you are driving around, you find somebody is busy talking to themselves. They don't look like a confused person. They're busy talking to themselves. One friend of mine was actually joking and says, I think quite a board meeting kali sana pale so bale kalipira abantu boardroom. You know what I mean? Because people can't really be comfortable. You can't afford to be comfortable. You know what I mean?
It's not you.
Because you have children, you need to take to school, they need to feed, you have extended family.
That's
true.
It's true.
Need to take care
it's true. Parents and all other people that look up to us, and we have to look at whatever struggles that we are going through. But if the economy is allowing, I don't think our people or UTH could be recording those issues. Find out from many of the people. People have resorted now to drinking kachasu, not even to jiri. Why? Because to jiri is expensive.
And it's not strong enough.
It's not strong enough. So kachasu is cheap and strong.
Exactly.
So people are becoming junkies. These are things that we need to look at. Mental health of our people as well matters. So there's a lot that Mr. Hichilema actually and his government needs to work on. There's a lot he needs to do. Amending the constitution now, Isaac, I don't think it's priority.
Exactly.
And when it's time to amend constitution, one thing that really surprises me is that politicians are bad students of history. They've been amending constitutions where you find that they want to introduce ridiculous clauses because you want to fix someone. Someone brought about theft of motor vehicle. They made it non-bailable. because they had someone to fix.
Who
They had the bond to choose someone.
Exactly.
Someone again proposed that the constitution should be amended for someone to aspire for political, as a president of the Republic of Zambia, they must have a degree in some, because they wanted to block SAT at that time, because they thought in their little minds that SAT has no degree.
Exactly.
But is this how we're going to continue as a country? Of course, there are certain clauses. I'm not saying I looked at the bill. I'll be frank with you. I looked at the bill. There are certain clauses that I would say they are progressive. For instance, the issues of where the MPs, one dies or they withdraw, I think there's need for clarity when it comes to such clauses. Yeah. It should be in black and white, not leaving any gray areas or buts and ifs, or leave it to speculation, or leave it to the political interpretation, because when we leave certain pertinent issues as such to political interpretations, they are meant to bring more noise, because there are people who are seeing this from their own view. So you find the opposition are seeing it from their angle, the ruling is seeing it from their angle, so it becomes a problem. So if that is just clear cut in black and white in our constitution, it will help. Equally, the issue of hearing the presidential petition, I totally agree and support to say, yes, there is need for time frame to be clearly defined and spoken, because you see, this is an election petition. You can't, again, rush it through 14 days. This is an election where, for instance, last election, we had 5+ million people participating as voters. So in an election where we're almost 21.5 million Zambians. Exactly. So we expected that maybe this time around 10 million of us or 15 million of us will be able to register to vote. Now, from that number, you will find that you're alleging that your colleague has not won this election free and fair. So you need to draw witnesses from all the 10 provinces of the Republic of Zambia. So how long will it take you to move someone who's in Kaputa, who's in Chadiza, who was the returning officer in Mwinilunga, so that they can come and testify in the courts of law? So it should be clear cut and say, yes, there are clear definition. Of course, it should be done within a shortest period of time, because look, people are just coming from an election. There's anxiety in the country. People want to know the country can't move. Who now takes over. So when there's that petition, there's no one who's sworn in. So of course, 14 days is reasonable time. So at 2 weeks, the matter is heard. People are, I think, there's more that needs to be done. What's the 14 days like? Do you include Saturdays? Do you include Sundays? What's the time frame? What would the procedure be when you file the petition? What would follow? How do you find your submissions, your arguments, your list of key witnesses that you want to bring, swear the witness statements, so that the court can easily determine? I mean, judges now have research advocates who help them come up with a sound and reasonable judgment. So I think those are some of the clauses I looked at. Of course, there are some, but all those things are going to be shut down. All those things that are progressive, that benefit even you and I, despite our political affiliation, they're shut down because there's so much political noise and the manner in which people want to do things. You see, Mr. Ichilema is the one who brought this problem of saying the fact that poison, you've put sugar, you can't say it's sweet, you can drink it.
Exactly.
So he shut down Bill 10. There were a lot of progressive clauses in Bill 10.
Most of the stuff
that is bringing, that's what I'm saying. So Bill 7 as well, who fall. But of course, our friends have the numbers with the current nullification of seats and the by-elections, which are marred with a lot of corruption. You know, you find in a small word, Isaac, 5 cabinet ministers are there. They're dishing out cash. They've got cooking oil, which is branded the candidates. There's so much political corruption, political malpractices. They import cadres from Lusaka to go and fight, from Southern Province, from Monze, to go and beat the members there in Wapula. You see, because those are people that they will not be able to identify. But when you go into this word, these people, they know each other. You and I know each other. So I can't hack you today, Isaac, because of our differences in political. And I've noticed something in the village. I visited Kasama recently. You know, you find that Ababa UPND, Ababa PF, Ababa MMD, Ababa UNIP, but They just know each other, but you will never find that when it's time to work as a community, they work together. They live and work together, these people, but they've got different political aspirations and they coexist. They eat on the same plate, yes. They mourn together, but now
when they worship
together. They don't know. It's only us from Lusaka and take division and the violence in those places. So I think even our ECZ should, I know the president is the one who's appointed from the chairperson up to the lowest person who are heading ECZ. But now that those people are now holding those offices, their loyalty no longer belongs to Mr. Ichilema. They should forget their past relationships and dealings with Mr. Ichilema. Their loyalty and service now is for the people of Zambia, because we are the ones who are paying them. They're getting paid using our taxpayers' money. It's our money that they're using to be in those offices. So we expect them to do the level best of and perform to the expectations of many Zambians. That's a very serious institution that they have. So when people report on political violence, I think ECZ should take serious action and not just handle these things with kid gloves. You know, a life lost is too many. One is too many. One is too many. So definitely. If we lose out, we are losing our people. It's sad. It's sad. We really think our ECZ equally has not done much because it knows of this corruption that happens. Video evidence, documentary evidence has gone. It's there. The letters that have been sent to them. But it seems it has fallen on deaf ears.
And you see, I think that going forward, we should also consider as a country, whether through the amendment of the Constitution, you who are lawyers. But you see, again,
there you are. You're talking of amendment of the Constitution. Again, we are saying we should never amend our Constitution. Our Constitution must stand the test of time. But these are issues I'm saying.
Exactly. All these come back to what you are talking about. You know what I mean? I think that we have a problem of a Constitution, which we have all agreed. There's no one who has said the Constitution is okay and it should never be amended. Every constitution of every country is a work in progress. You know what I mean? It's a work in progress. But at the end of the day, at some point, you should reach a point of certainty where at least the certainty that is emanating from that constitution. You know, I think that the issues of the Electoral Commission of Zambia and the impartiality with which they should operate, these are things that you and me are going to talk about and complain about for a long time, for as long as there's no clear, definition of a process of appointing the people that head, the Electoral Commission of Zambia. For as long as they're appointed by one man, their loyalty will still belong to that one man. And also, the misfortune of certain people is there are people who have been appointed by one man. This one man, because he was brought up correctly, he understands that to lead people, sometimes you need to have a big heart and you need to be considerate. He will appoint people to the Electoral Commission of Zambia and give them the power to operate the institution as they see fit, based on their professionalism. You know what I mean? Not you get McDonald Chipenzi today, who was just dancing yesterday, Janza Kumbere.
Yes.
If failing to win an election,
failing
to even get a Brown Kasaro, for instance. A very discredited individual. You appoint them against
even what's the chairperson, Madam Zalomis.
You know,
she's a UPND. She's the UPND
card carrying member.
Yes, and she has been a member of the UPND and a lawyer for UPND for a long time.
Loyal to UPND. But you see, if all those people were people of integrity, they would have understood that, okay, we have come this far because of UPND. But this same UPND and this same president has appointed us to an institution that is meant to save the whole of Zambia. They should have begun to attract some level of integrity to themselves by doing things professionally, by doing things as
so far, I have no hope and I have no trust in ECZ. I'll be very honest with you. We did have a stakeholders meeting at one point with the ECZ and we presented our grievances as opposition. We spoke to the chairperson. I think the whole team was there. We spoke, the legal secretary was there. We were able to discuss what is affecting us, why we are feeling our elections are not being free and fair. But all that seems to have fallen on deaf ears because that's 2023 when we had that consultative meeting. Now this is 2025. We've had a series of by-elections and the same things that we had said and what we expected ECZ to change the narrative and be bold. They are not doing what they're supposed to do.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really, really unfortunate. But you see, it also just speaks to the integrity of individuals that are appointed to these offices.
Yes.
That same ECZ, the process of appointment has been the same. Even President Rupia Banda appointed people to ECZ. The NS Sakalas and them from MMD time, you know what
They're
I mean?
not straight, it's true.
But at some point, they had to put Zambia before President Banda. You know, the Mambirimas of this of this country.
May her soul rest in peace.
May her soul rest in peace.
Woman,
You know, they had to put the interest of Zambians first. They put aside their relationship. If they had relations with President Sata and President Lungu, their appointing authorities, they had to put Zambia first because they knew that Zambia is bigger than any one individual. You see, if the way Mr. Hakainde has been micromanaging these institutions of governance is the way other people micromanage them. It's the way President Lungu, for instance, micromanaged them. Hakainde would have not become president.
That's true.
He would have not become president.
That's true. You can't really solve anyway. You know, on the streets and when we speak to our colleagues, they're saying these people know how to use power. Maybe President Lungu never used power the way his colleague is using it. But again, power belongs to the people.
Definitely.
And at the end of the day, you can never. The governed are the ones who appoint the president. We are the bosses.
Exactly.
So we have the say. This is a bad boss. This is a good boss.
Yeah.
And when we look at a number of things that have happened in this country, I think President Hichilema has not really performed as expected. I expected more.
Yeah.
And actually, he already termed the PF as a party of failures. He termed President Lungu as a failure. Now, how do you use President Lungu as your yardstick for success?
For your success.
Yeah, it's like you say, Chikopo jam guys in class. I'm a person number 5.
Yeah.
So why would you want to compete with such a person? He should compete with other. He shouldn't even be using PF because PF that he caused were failures.
Yeah.
When we look at what they left and where we are at today, are totally different. Someone would, of course, there's an argument say, no, we are paying off loans, we are paying off what? They left us in debt and all those things. Okay, if they left us in debt, how much has been paid so far?
Exactly.
And UPND, how much in terms of external borrowing and as well as internal, how much has it borrowed? How much, and where has that money has borrowed?
Yeah.
Where have they taken it? Because when you look at, if you know, I only have two projects that I can point at President Hichilema that is done. Even those toilets went to commission in Kwacha and Chingola, the Copper Belt. Those things are not complete up to now. They are unfinished up to date.
They are unfinished toilets.
They are unfinished, you see.
Simple toilets,
and you've asked how much was spent. You see, there's no accountability in this country. We've seen where UPND leaders, people who are appointed by Mr. Hichilema, when they fall out, they get to spill the beans of the corruption that these people are bringing up. Look at the ACC Director General, Mr. Shamakamba. He had to resign after Dr. Kaba exposed him. He exposed him, he exposed the Solicitor General. In a serious country, the Solicitor General should have resigned on moral grounds as well. Or the President should have established, should have removed him, established a tribunal and also looked so now. So that's a problem. So these tribunals that are JCC or whatever it is, are they only probing people that allegedly are not doing orders of the powers that be, or are they really going there as individuals who have failed to perform in their capacity, or they're failing to uphold their oath of secrecy or understanding their duties as judges or adjudicators? So these are things. Look at Mr. Nyansuru, the Zamra DG. He spilled a lot of beans. Heads should have been rolling, not just moving Masebo from Ministry of Health, you take it to Ministry of Lands, the corruption. So in whose interests are these people protecting? If the president really says he's a person who fights corruption, corruption should have been done. We saw PF. President Edgar Lungu was said to be a corrupt president, but we saw him prosecute people who were allegedly corrupt. We saw him prosecute, stand to be guided. I think who was at court, Chirufia, now they want to Chishimba Kambwidi, and so many people. These were his cabinet ministers. They appeared. But this time around, the worst someone can do is just resign. Kakubo was caught on camera with collecting a calendar for a year in mid-year.
Mid-year.
And they said that's in June. You are collecting a calendar for the year 2025 in June. What will I be doing with a calendar for 2025 in June? In a plastic bag. That's pure corruption. It was a heavy calendar and what now? That's corruption. He was exposed in a scandal of some whatever they were dealing, Chinese and all that they signed. All he could do is resign. And you let him off the hook.
That resignation had to take a
lot of noise. Like on moral grounds.
People saying, please, can this be? It's amazing really how President Hakainde Hichilema perceives things, or how he thinks of the rest of us Zambians. Because according to him, I've come to understand that according to him, he's the most intelligent Zambian, he's the most handsome Zambian, he's the most well-dressed Zambian, like he's the smartest Zambian. He is the one who knows. It's like the leader knows all. You know what I mean?
Isaac.
And he has kept himself in that little bubble where he believes that everybody else.
The story of the emperor's new clothes.
Exactly.
The emperor's new clothes, but it takes them nowhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, it takes them nowhere. In Bemba we say amano yafumamu ifwesa ya mchuru. Ifwesa, it's those to small hills they make in the village so that you can be cooking. Knowledge comes from that small man-made small. There are three so that the pot can hold and the fire. So knowledge comes from there. It goes to a hill that is made by God. Very big thing. So knowledge can come from there. It goes there. You can't know it all. You can't know it all, and you can't micromanage things the way he's doing it. That's why we are here. You can't be in every deal. You can't know how yes, as a president, you should be concerned and know how things must. But I feel the president has not given power to his ministers and to his people. There are ways that he wants things to be run by himself. Isaac, even for me to look smart today is someone has done something. My wife had to iron, I took certain clothes to the laundry, someone had to do.
Before that, the maid had to also ensure
that
the laundry machine is
operating, everything is okay. That's what so you can't, for me to drive here, my car, make sure it's clean, someone washed it at the car. So it's collective. Just as an individual, you can't do things alone. There's need for you to delegate or allow certain people, for lack of a better term, let your leaders. Are you saying your leaders are not competent to make certain decisions?
You see, I always make an example. I always give an example when this topic comes up, whenever we discuss with people. You know what I mean? I always give an example of President Edgar Lungu. HH went around and told Zambians that President Lungu was incompetent, he was unable to do these things, he was out of touch with reality and all of that. He didn't have a grip on his ministers and all of that. But President Edgar Lungu understood, what it means to do division of labor. He understood division of labor. He understood that I appointed a Home Affairs Minister. It is in his description and under his charge that the Ministry of Home Affairs should function. This minister will report to me, based on what I need to be, that needs to be reported to me. I remember how Honorable Stephen Kampiongo went around the country commissioning Zambia police houses. The PF under President Edgar Lungu constructed over 3,000 modern housing units for police officers. These police camps that we are seeing when you go to Lilai today.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. When you go to Charleston, it's beautiful. President Lungu, it was under his administration that all of that was done. I can tell you that 3/4 of those houses across the country were commissioned by Honorable Kampiongo as minister. That's a duty of the minister. In charge. There's a crisis of gassing on the copper belt. The minister would be on the ground. He doesn't need to wait for the president to clear his diary in Lusaka to
just
fly there.
Moving the president, how much money are we spending?
Exactly.
Already this is a president who has refused to move from State House and has decided to stay in his house in Chalala or New Kasama. So the problem is that every single day, how much money is being spent on moving, route line in those police officers? People are supposed to fight crimes. The Land Cruiser that is supposed to be at the station, it has been brought from Simon Mwansakapwepwe. It's in Chalala Woodlands. The police for 3 hours waiting for the president to knock off for What is happening? These are police officers that we need to pay. So these police officers we are paying, how much money
are we spending? And even the police,
even lives that have been lost. The presidential motorcade is not meant to be passing into people, and people have died. We've lost police officers. We've lost. Who's compensating those people? All these are things that one day President Hichilema, you personally be answerable. Inconveniencing to people
who are rushing to work, and already a very bad economy that you are presiding
with
over.
Bad
they
roads,
have to
yes.
rush to go and work. You are having them stop for 30, 40 minutes because the president is passing. You know, they can't interrupt traffic and all of that because of all of these things. You know, and he's been at the farm now for what, 2 weeks? He's now going to spend maybe 3 weeks at the farm.
Yes.
I'm sure even the police officers in the Lusaka division are very happy when
yeah,
he's
at
at
least
the farm.
now,
because
yeah.
then they get to do
their
what
own
they
work,
are paid
yeah.
to do. They get to do the work that they are in the police to do.
Because you and I, there's an emergency we need. There's need to transport you know, these police officers, the same CDF vans.
Exactly.
If you look at Mosotunya Road, actually from Independence Avenue, Mosotunya Road, all the way to Tokyo Way, which is the ring road.
Yeah.
You find these CDF vehicles, Kabwata, Tawama,
all
Kanyama,
of them,
Matero. What are they doing
What
here?
are they doing
So if
on
there's an
Tokyo
emergency in Matero that will need that van to carry someone or this, it's a problem.
It's a problem. It's not there. They
So
will
were these vehicles bought for route line in the president's movement from State House to his house in Chalala every day, or what's the story?
Yeah.
So these are all things that can be done. You know, it's not about pride.
Yeah.
The president, as he claims, he wants to reduce on the cost of operations. He claims he doesn't get paid. But still, even if he's not getting paid, it's a cost.
No, you see, even on that story of not getting paid, I've asked several people, including people that are purportedly close to him or people that are in his camp,
Yes.
you know, who continue to brag that, no, you see, President HH is so hardworking, such a good man, he has even refused to get paid. Okay, I said, fine. Do you know that the salary of the president is a requirement by law that he has to be paid?
Yes.
Okay. The law requires that he renders a service to the Republic of Zambia as president, and he has to be paid.
Yes.
If for any reason he decides to forego that salary, or he decides to redirect that salary, that president should tell us where his salary goes.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
And
he
what
should tell
project
us
is-
where
what
his
project
salary
is
goes.
he doing?
What is his salary doing? We know of he's not the only president who may have gone on camera and say, I will not be receiving my salary. Every other president, be it outside Zambia.
Several jurisdictions we've had presidents make such
Exactly.
pronouncements.
President Trump, for instance, in his first term of office, you know, he didn't get his salary. He had directed his salary to the transport sector and whatever to help do this and that. You know what I mean? It was public information that the president is not receiving his salary. Instead, his salary is going to doing this and that for the benefit of the people.
My brother, even just
Where is President HH's
Chilema's salary going?
Because CDF is said to be doing everything. So salary
at
of
least
a president,
even if you're just for a month salary, about President Pasandafati will take it to UTH.
Exactly.
How many
going
beds
to
can be made? How many
bed
mattresses?
spaces,
Food.
you know?
Talk of
Yeah,
food.
you
You
know?
know. So
Can be
these are
bought from-
issues we should. I think.
It's a culture of lies, the propensity of wanting to just lie, the propensity of the lies that come out of my elder brother, Mr. Akainde, is
Lies have short legs,
really, yeah, and they have
That
very
is short legs. So at the end of the
And
day,
it's
the reality
really
will catch
just
up.
disturbing, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you don't have to lie. It's very unnecessary. The man makes very unnecessary lies, you know. One
Even
thing-
where you shouldn't tell a lie,
he still
find
lies. He still finds reason to lie. So most of the times I sit and I'm watching and he's talking about something and I'm saying, but my brother, you didn't have to tell that lie. It's really unnecessary. There's no pressure for you to lie,
Yeah.
you know? Why are you lying about your salary?
So when we look,
Why are you lying about having scored 70% of your campaign promises? You know you have not even done 40% of that. You know, he knows.
no, he knows. It's very much.
knows.
President
You know.
Hichilema is. I hear that he is very much active on the social streets. On
Exactly.
Facebook, he's able to
That's
see.
why he was threatening us that I'm sending spies in your WhatsApp groups. They are watching. You know?
No, I remember. No, I love his humor. I hope if his humor can be translated into work, and this country would be a very beautiful country. He's got a strong commanding voice.
Yeah.
When he speaks,
I
he's got
think
a
that's
sharp.
where the problem is, you know.
His suits are now on
You know,
point.
that's-
He looks
I think-
smart. So
I
I
think
hope
that's where the
that smart
problem is.
must also
Yeah.
translate to the economy and
Exactly.
the masses. You know.
These things, you know, when people are busy telling you, especially women, they have a way of making you feel nice. They'll be telling you, we love your voice. So can shkula landa.
So so you start listening to yourself.
So you start listening to
That's
yourself.
what the problem
because
is.
people have told you that you have a nice voice. So you will just be talking. I think that's a dilemma that my brother has unfortunately found himself in.
Yeah.
That's why he wants to be the spokesperson of government. He wants to do everything by himself. He says he sends Jito and Lungu to come and tell Zambians that he has scored 95+% of the campaign promises. He goes and he decides to say, no, Jito and Lungu didn't know what they were talking about. Me, I've not done 95%. I've only done 70%. Because he rated himself 70. He said out of 10, I've scored 7. And the 7, if you get a mark of 100%, near 70%.
It's a distinction. You've already, you're okay.
Exactly.
You've already passed. So meaning you've already delivered.
You know what I mean?
So if he's done, then in the next few months that are remaining, he will do his 100%.
Yeah.
Then he can leave the stage and
let
allow other
others
people
also
take
do.
over.
Because,
Yeah,
I mean, if you've done 99% in
yeah.
your 4th year, what do you want to do in another
5 years? Yeah, in the end, you
because
start.
Percentage, you put up at 100.
Yeah, because as the wise say, leave the stage when everyone is clapping.
Exactly. So if there are people clapping for him and they are loud enough, he likes how they are clapping, he should leave.
That's true.
You know, he should leave because at the end of the day, you can't continue to just be making all of these pronouncements. You promised people when you were forming government, you formed government, you continued to promise, continued to lie. You can lie your way to State House, but when you get to State House, you must be able to realize that lies will not keep you in State House.
No, they don't keep anyone.
They don't keep you in State House. I tell a lot of people that politics is about strategy. And those who know that strategies in politics will tell you that the strategy you use to form government is not the same strategy you use to stay in government, because then the dynamics change. You know, and you must be able to appreciate that the dynamics have changed. Here where I have come is not a position, is not a seat. The seat I'm sitting in is not for liars. It's a seat for people who must tell the truth, people who must be open to accountability. You know what I mean?
And not intimidate people. Once they question your leadership, the next thing is the police. And, you know, I feel very sad that, you know, the same police officers that they use, you know, there's a pattern that you're able to see from the police officers.
Yeah.
The senior police officers give orders to these junior police officers. These junior police officers are never happy to get those instructions. You know? And it's the same junior police officers who vote against the powers that be. Actually, using the police to victimize your political opponents has never kept anyone in power. It will never keep anyone in power. We have seen it. And world over, people have rejected such tactics. They never go in.
President Lungu, if you remember, not long ago, I think in one of the interviews, he said, look, the position where that gentleman is sitting is where I sat. The same power he has is the power I had, you know. The power he has to micromanage the police is the same power I had. So he should listen to me when I tell him that these police, when you abuse them the way you're abusing them, they don't help you. The police are one of the main reasons why people are kept out of office, because of how they behave. You remember the incidents you talked about at the Magistrate Court when those police came to grab our placards from you people. There, you know what I mean? Which was very unfortunate. And I'm standing there, I'm wondering, okay, where's the pressure coming from? What has necessitated this kind of, you know, brutality, this kind of aggression from the police? You know what I mean? Where people are just standing, making a statement, it's common practice. Those steps at the Magistrates Court, I think even the people who had the architecture of that, they built them specifically for that reason.
Yeah, people can talk.
You know, for people to talk and express themselves while there and they get in their cars and they leave. You just come and start grabbing placards and tearing them on camera.
And you're the people and you're the people who are bragging that there's rule of law, we respect human rights. I think we should be more decent. We should be more decent and have such conversations. We need to speak up as Zambians. I think this country needs everyone's voice.
Exactly.
Everyone's voice must be heard. There's no country where you will be which will express yourself. It's only our own home we know is Zambia. This is our home. Exactly. That's why when we see things are not happening, ours is not to see President Ichile Mafeni. I'll be one of the happiest people to see the dollar going even back, because when he took over power, the dollar was at 15.6. Exactly. So it wasn't even at 22 kwacha as he claimed. It was at 15, it dropped. So it was at 15.6. If it were even to be reduced to 20 kwacha today, I would be one of the happiest. And
at least stay at 20 kwacha for a considerable for the economy to be able to synchronize.
To synchronize, things stabilize. goods and services start reducing. But it's sad. It's very sad. And they've just introduced these notes we don't even understand, you know.
Exactly.
Of course, security features, and now
There
this
are
is
no
when there are no security
features.
features, and you find out people, there are so many counterfeit notes, as you are told by
Exactly.
DEC.
Yeah.
All these things are done. You see, the UPND doesn't want to consult. And the problem with them is that they live in a shadow. That's one thing I've realized. They live in a shadow,
actually.
and they're paranoid over things they don't know.
Exactly.
Even the issue of printing this money, I don't think it was necessary
where
for this
did the
country,
pressure come from?
why a country is
spend
already
money
struggling
to undertake such
an expensive. They don't even tell us who the printers of these notes are,
Exactly.
how they arrived at those printers.
Exactly.
They just bring about these
Was
new.
Parliament consulted?
Yes, that's all. All stakeholders
all
were they
stakeholders
were they
involved
consulted.
in
The stakeholders.
process.
The next thing we just saw was Bank of Zambia to introduce new banknotes without proper sensitization.
Exactly.
Notes hit the market. Now my grandmother in Kasama, when you take them 500 kwacha, she doesn't even know what.
Doesn't know what to do with it. Even the person who running a cantemba next to her doesn't even know what.
That's what the problem is. So, all these things, these people are paranoid. So you find that they sat in their small conference rooms or in their backyards or at one veranda in Chalala and just said, guys, today, the PF, they have so much money in their houses. For us to have found so many millions with Faith Musonda, meaning this country has a lot of money. So guys, what we can do is, this money, they will use it in their campaign. So let's make sure we wipe out the 100 quarters. Anyone who goes to the bank to deposit more than what money. Even banks have now been reduced to snitches, for lack of a better term.
They are not even protecting
these banks
customers.
are now, the customers are scared. Whenever you go there to withdraw huge sums of money, someone is already ready.
Sent to SEC and
how did you arrive at such levels? How did you arrive?
Paranoia, that level of paranoia.
This country needs to thrive. Allow businesses to thrive. Allow businessmen to buy assets, to buy good properties, to buy good cars,
to develop
our country. Now people are scared. They're buying properties in South Africa. People are buying properties in Dubai. They are not buying properties
in Zimbabwe.
Now, because that's where the properties are more secure.
Safer there.
Yeah, so if find someone builds like a small house, like I've built like a small house, someone will ask, how did Simon manage to build this house? There are loans behind. There are people that we owe. We move like this, but behind our heads we're calculating what answers we need to tell people that we are owing.
And you see, that's how it is in every country.
Yeah.
There's no country that can operate without people owing people. You know what I mean?
No, that's the truth. Yeah, and procuring.
It's all about procurement.
Allow people to thrive. They can't take us back to the days of the counter days where people ask flat screen TV mashire kuiso katsteni higher TV ku city TV. I think they should, UPND should, we're in 2025 for crying out loud. We should expect more. This is almost 61 years from the time we got our independence. I think things have to change.
Exactly.
How we do our politics, we must be mature, we must be sober. And one thing that I feel very sad is that the police are not giving our people rallies. We need to speak to our people.
Exactly.
We need to speak to our people.
There's only one man.
UPND, they are saying no interacting with our people. The president tags it as interacting with our people.
Others
allow other politics. The next thing, when you and I, Isaac, we sit and try to interact, a small group, a small holding, you find the police call,
coming.
Did you get public order?
Even at your home.
Even at my home, I experienced it. I experienced it in Kabanana. No, what you're saying is true. I experienced this in Kabanana when I went to engage voters in Kabanana, just to have a chat with them at this training institution and just inspire the young people here and there. I was very shocked that the police had to come in and say, did you get an order for you to meet? Did you do ABCD? And I'm here wondering and saying, how did we get to these levels as a country? How did we get such levels? But UPND, they meet. They have their large gatherings. Their MPs are meeting. Now, is this honestly the country we want to live in? Is this the country 61 years from the time we got our independence? I think the Kapwepwes, the Kaundas, and all the winners of this country, they would be turning in their graves to say, is this what we fought for?
But I can assure you, President Kaunda is not turning. He's
No,
resting
I mean,
comfortably
yeah,
because
because he
told
wonders.
us. He wonders.
He wonders,
And we
yes,
refuse,
yeah.
people refuse to listen.
To
He
listen. No.
wonders,
Dr. Kaunda may so
Yeah.
rest in peace. He actually wonders on the kind of
He
leader, because he was
wonders.
able to see through his lies
Exactly.
and understand that this
This
character,
does
is not
not
a
mean
national character,
anything.
and this is not a person who can actually
Who can
unify the
unite
country.
the country.
You see, Isaac, there's tension in this country.
Yeah,
There's division in this country.
yeah,
I know our colleagues are very sensitive when it comes to issues of tribal.
yeah.
They will try arrest you and charge you for tribalism, hate speech.
But those are facts.
Those are facts. These are things that we are seeing.
experiencing.
Go to government institutions.
Yeah.
Speak to police officers.
police officers.
Speak to people
Even
in the
just to
army.
council,
Speak to
the
friends
people
anywhere, my brother.
The people collecting parking fees in town.
Yeah, they'll tell you.
Shocked.
And these are people we are speaking to,
Yeah.
and they'll tell you they are not happy. Certain people, even junior officers, they say no, they've taken over institutions.
Yeah.
But this is not how it should be.
Exactly.
President Hichilema's victory, it was a victory for all Zambians.
For all Zambians.
It was collective.
If anything.
So if anything, he got a lot of votes from
he
actually
won
Northern,
because the Northern Bloc decided
to give him a chance. The Northern Bloc and the
Southern
Eastern
Province voted the way they have always
been voted from the time when
Western
has been
Province voted the way they have always been.
Northwestern
Northwestern voted the way they have been voting ever since Akainde started appearing on the
ballot paper. Yeah.
They have voted the same way they voted in 2021. They failed to make him president 5 times.
Yes.
Okay.
But
he became president when the Northern Bloc decided to give him a
That's
chance.
what I'm saying.
When the
So-
Eastern Bloc decided to give him a chance.
Yeah,
So why would you now want to just create a very small circle of relatives and say we are now going to run government?
And when you ask or you question these things, you find that
Yeah.
the next thing they're saying is, oh, PF did it. They'll release a list of people who are board directors.
Exactly.
Like we have said, you can't use PF as your yardstick.
Oh, yeah.
Mr.
If you say
Hichilema had,
PF failed.
if PF failed, so unify Zambians.
Exactly.
I really hope President Hichilema can unify Zambians and be the leader that he says he is. I understand that he's mingled with white people. He's had white business partners and associates. I don't think the way he's doing things, his white friends actually subscribe to what he's doing. That's why you've seen he's fallen out of favor with the Americans.
Yes, because they decided that this is the wrong
this is
person.
the wrong person because they said this with a white man. That's why they're always on time. When they say let's meet at 05 hours, he'll be there at 05.
Yeah.
He'll not come at 0501 and give an excuse. No, there was traffic. No, there was what.
Yeah.
They'll be there on time. So when they believe in you and they back you, they expect you to do certain things in a certain way. I just hope that we shouldn't throw away our unity and love that we have as Zambians. Zambians, we love each other. We naturally have that love for each other.
Yeah.
You know, a classical example is when you and I are driving, you're coming the opposite direction and I'm coming the opposite. I find the speed trap or speed camera Rats has put or the Zambia police. I'll warn you, my brother, reduce your speed.
Yes.
I don't care whether you're Bemba,
Exactly.
you're
You
Tonga,
don't
you're
stop to ask
Lozi.
to say, what tribe are you? Are you Bemba?
Are you
No,
Bemba? Okay.
okay,
Do you
can't
support
come in.
UPNG? Do you support PF? Do you support
No,
Socialist
no.
Party?
Yeah.
Do you support
Exactly.
Sean Tembo's party? Do you
Exactly.
support Harry Kalava's party, CF? No. You just flash because that's a fellow
Yeah,
Zambian.
that's a fellow Zambian.
When you walk into
are
ShopRite,
considerate
that's
about
true.
the fact that the economy is hard for all of
For all
us.
of us,
You don't
yes,
want him paying fees to the police. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. So we're still Zambians.
Yeah.
When you walk into ShopRite or any chain store, you go and buy. You don't ask who's saving you.
No.
What tribe are you before I
don't.
pay you? Even food when we buy at KFC, Hungry Lion, wherever we go, these big places, do we ask?
No.
Oh, the chef who's there, what tribe is he before I
What
buy
tribe
it,
is the
I
chef?
eat?
Because now
so
I
it
need
shows
to-
we are one Zambia, one nation.
Exactly.
So politicians must not be allowed to divide us. We must be one Zambia, one nation, regardless of our political affiliation. The unity and love that we've had for ourselves as Zambians must continue. Politicians come and go. Politicians switch their political affiliation once the one who's in power. Even the people who are singing the loudest praises for President Hichilema today, they'll no longer sing for them when he no longer has that power, which they are following. They'll switch and start singing the loudest for the person who will take over from him.
He's got people who are singing for him now, who also sang for President Sata. They sang for President Rupia Banda. They sang for President Mwanawasa. They even sang for President Lungu, some of them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So he should know better how to do the correct thing. You know, unfortunately, for me, I am not hopeful in President HH doing anything different from what he has shown us for the past 4 years. He has no commitment, he has no willingness, he has no, the attitude is wrong towards national unity and building a Zambia that stands out as being one Zambia, one nation, as the President Kaunda and his colleagues envisioned it. You know what I mean? He's not interested. That's not a topic he's interested in having. He's interested in a topic of how do we destabilize the PF? How do we make sure that the PF does not come back? How do we make sure that the Socialist Party does not form government? How do we make sure that Hari Kalaba or Sean Tembo does not form government? That is what he's concerned about. And it's dangerous.
Courts have ruled today that Chabinga is no longer is masquerading.
Yeah.
But there he is. He's a president. He continues doing
to
so.
Parade him.
To parade himself as move with him as leader of the
As
opposition.
leader
The
of the
president. He's with
as
the police.
Speaking, maybe Chabinga is even at HH's farm with him right now.
Yeah, I saw a picture of him on social media with a judge and commissioner and all that. Is still given that state power.
He moves.
But this is a person the party has expelled. This is a person they say we no longer recognize as leaders. And the courts have made pronouncements. But this is a person who's able to defy court orders with impunity. Why? Because he knows he's protected by powers that be. But is this the Zambia we want? You and I expect that when an order from the judiciary or from the court is given, Isaac, it should be respected.
You stand down.
You stand down. Exactly. You and I, when they tell me pay the money you owe, I either go back to court and say, court, you've said I should pay this one 5 million kwacha within the shortest period of time. I have no capacity, but I'm willing to pay him. I can be paying in these installments. And the court will say, okay, we hear you.
Yeah.
Start paying if you show your liabilities and assets and other commitments that you have. That's how it is.
Yeah.
But now, you find that the same courts are not respected. They are being, if this is a high court. Now imagine the lawlessness that will be there in the lower courts.
In the lower court, in
the subordinate court, in the local courts.
Yeah.
People no longer respect the judiciary.
That are coming from there.
People no longer respect the judiciary because if someone who's as senior as Chabinga, who's a member of parliament, is being paraded as leader of the opposition. Despite his party that sponsored him, revoking and withdrawing his appointment.
Yeah.
And he's here with the president. What message are you sending? You're sending that as long as you are closer to the president or the powers that be, you can do anything you want. It's nothing.
You have no mandate to listen to the judiciary.
Everything begins and the buck stops at the president. So everything begins and ends with the president. Yeah. So President Hichilema must unify this country. Yeah. He must take the leadership that the Zambia has entrusted him with seriousness, changing the lives of people, find a solution to the load shedding, turn the economy around, the mini meal prices go down, not just mini meal, cooking oil, relish, everything must go down so that Zambians can have decent meals. Zambians are hardworking. We are not lazy.
And you see, just also, one of the final things really, he should back off this unholy constitutional amendment pursuit. The majority of Zambians have spoken. Look, this is not the time for us to be amending the constitution. Amendment of a constitution also is a very tedious process, a very expensive process to run. It's not easy. You can't just wake up with your few friends or your children in the home and say, no, my son, go to paper I want to show you how to amend the constitution. Then you start
You're right.
Say, no, to amend the constitution. It doesn't work like that. It takes consensus, a very expensive process. We have said no as Zambians. We do not want a constitutional amendment right now. There's no pressure for us to amend the constitution today. Leave it. For once in your lifetime as president of this republic, listen to the people. You know what I mean? Listen to the people. Bill 10 was rejected. Hakainde himself led the onslaught against the Bill 10, and the Bill 10 failed.
So Bill 7 as well must fall.
Bill 7 must also fall. The same way he was committed, we are also committed to making sure that it fails. We know that he thinks he's got the arrogance of numbers in parliament. That's a thought. He thinks like that. There are still men and women of integrity in that parliament. There are still men and women in that parliament who respect the will of the people who sent them there. You know what I mean? And the people who sent them there have said no, including the person that some people in Katuba sent to parliament to represent them. They have said no to constitutional amendment. So even that one has got
And
an
then the
obligation.
Constitution, I mean, it's for the people. So the people that you are trying to
It's
impose
we
this,
the
or
people.
we've rejected it. So I
Even
feel
the preamble of the
yeah.
Constitution
So the
says
thing
we
is,
the
we
people.
the people. So I think it's a failed project right now, and it's of course, like I said, there are certain clauses that can say are progressive here and there.
Exactly.
But is this what's the agency of amending it?
Exactly.
I don't think the constitutional amendments are what we need right now as Zambians in this tough economy.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of it's an expensive process.
It's a very expensive process.
So I think for now, President Hichilema is being misguided or is misguiding himself by embarking on such a journey, which will actually cost more money.
And it will be catastrophic. It also just reaffirms the fall of that bill will reaffirm his own fall as president.
As president, yeah, I mean, it will show that
because he's not going to be winning any election. With that arrogance of saying, I will amend the constitution, even if you say no, he's not going to be winning any elections. Even if he says, I hold the keys to State House, no one can take them. The same people who gave you that key
they'll take
power to withdraw it.
No, he says not twikala. But now mwikala baka mimya po abantu abamikala. Batakuwa bokwikala. There were people. There were people. They were super ken kumululesa punch kaunda. But people, when people, no, we are tired of you. Don't get tired.
People said no, we are tired of you. This is it doesn't belong to
you.
You know, we may have given you the opportunity to lead us, but you do not own us.
Yes.
So the time is coming, and it's really, really fast approaching. I get to wonder most of the times. I ask myself, okay, if next year UPND and President HH want to stand again, what is he going to be telling the Zambians? You know, what is he going to say to Zambians that he has done that he should deserve another term? You know,
I look forward to their manifesto. Let's see what will happen.
It's going to be very interesting.
I've really enjoyed this conversation.
It's been a great conversation, my brother.